Hello, and welcome back to the Wyoming Watch, the Wyoming Tribune Eagle's weekly podcast. I'm Ivy Secrest, your crime and public safety reporter. Recently, internal struggles related to staffing, wages, and expansive patrol areas within the Wyoming Highway Patrol were made known to the public through an advocacy campaign led by the Wyoming Highway Patrol Association. That campaign advocated for an increase in wages for troopers, which the Legislature recently approved via an increase in wages for state employees. This week, I spoke with the Wyoming Highway Patrol Association President, Lieutenant Matt Arnell, about the association's advocacy campaign, the data behind the agency's struggles, and the hopes for the future of the agency. Matt, welcome.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit, you have really pushed for advocating for troopers in this past session, specifically around wages, highlighting the issues that not having competitive wages for troopers has really caused for our highway patrol. What does pay look like right now, and what are we hoping that these new increases give our troopers?
Well, right now our pay is based off of 2022 studies for the 2022 market value, and we're within a certain percentage of that. And with the governor's budget proposal, that did include money for compensation adjustment to bring us within a certain percentage of the 2024 levels. It'll vary from trooper to trooper. And throughout this campaign, we obviously advocated for Wyoming Highway Patrol employees, as we are their association, but we wanted to bring along all state employees because all state employees needed a market adjustment to bring them closer to the 2024 levels. They were all feeling the hurt on that.
I'm curious, when we're talking about where we stand, how does Wyoming compare to other states with pay?
Our study showed that we were ranked 44th out of 49 states, and I say 49 states because Hawaii doesn't have a state agency, but we were ranked 44th, and that's where we currently sit. After this market adjustment, I'm not sure where that'll fall because other states are obviously doing a compensation adjustment as well. So we'll have to wait and see how all that shakes out as to where we will compare in the future.
What are some of the damages of not being at a competitive rate? What does the Wyoming Highway Patrol lose when not competing with other states?
Well, unfortunately, it leads to, we train some troopers, they come in and work for us, but then they can see they can go to another agency or another state for a lot more pay. And so we lose all that investment we've made in these guys, and they're good people. They come to work for us, they do a great job, and we're losing that experience. And we're losing these people to other agencies because we just can't compete with the salaries. And so hopefully this will bring us up into a more competitive range and help stem that tide a little bit.
What is that cost of turnover? What are we putting into training, getting a trooper certified up to the standard that the Highway Patrol requires of their employees?
The cost to go out, recruit a trooper, and bring them in, training costs alone is just a little over $96,000. If we start throwing in equipment, then that can rise up to over $200,000. But of course, when they leave, we get that equipment back. But over the last 5 years, we've lost several $1 million just from training troopers. They may come to work for us anywhere from 1 to 5 years, and then they go to work for another agency or another state. Or they may even go back into the private sector because it pays more. And so that's a lot of taxpayer money that's walking out the door, of course. And it takes several months to train a trooper before they can go out and start working on their own. So that's a lot of time and investment that's going into these folks that they're just forced to leave because of financial reasons. And they've got families to support. They've got to pay a mortgage. They've got to pay doctor bills, same as anybody else. And after a while of struggling, they made the decision they had to move on.
We've discussed before, pay isn't the only thing that impacts whether a trooper is going to stay in Wyoming or not. There's a few other issues that, while related to pay, are also kind of contributing to these decisions. One of them, as we've discussed, is the area of coverage that a trooper is responsible for and how much time it takes to cover that area. Tell me a little bit about what is the area of coverage for an average trooper in Wyoming right now, and what does it look like covering that expansive of a space?
Well, at any one time, we may have 15 to 20 troopers out trying to cover the 9th largest state in the country. And if we have people leaving, because they have to go somewhere else for financial reasons. Of course, that leaves gaps in our coverage. And so we have troopers working more to try and fill those gaps, and they have to cover more area. They may have to travel a couple 100 miles just to get to somebody that needs help or to back up some other agency that needs help. And that can just turn into a cycle where troopers are getting tired and not enough help, they feel, to help them out. They like to have a shift partner, one they have backup, and plus there's someone closer to these calls for service that may come out.
When we're losing troopers to other states, does that also mean sometimes they're going to areas where they're covering a smaller county or one county as opposed to two? Is that also part of the benefit of being at a different agency?
Yes, because we may have a single trooper trying to cover two different counties and covering extreme distances, whereas if they go to a different agency, maybe they're just covering one county and they have 4 shift partners that are helping them do that with backup, and they have people helping them share the load of that work, and that can be attractive to them, especially if they're getting better compensation for it as well.
Are there any safety concerns with that, with having a single trooper covering up to 2 counties or covering, I think in your letters you referenced about 343 miles of highway in a shift? What are the safety concerns of covering that much area?
Well, safety concerns can be a variety of issues. One, you've got a trooper trying to cover those distances in inclement weather or slick roads, or they're trying to go back up another trooper or even another agency. Let's say there's a deputy or someone from a police department that needs some help, and a trooper is trying to get there to help them, but he's a long distance away. Or if there's someone coming to help the trooper, they got to travel that far just to get to them and help them out. So they're kind of out on their own. And it is nice to have a shift partner that is there with you, that you know you can maybe only 15, 20 minutes away they can get to you. 15, 20 minutes may sound like a long time, but compared to an hour or two, that shortens it quite a bit. And then if there's anything that happens, our assistance to the public, crashes, or if someone's broke down in inclement weather, it takes us that much longer to get to them because of gaps in our coverage.
So is the hope then, with these pay increases, that one, not only will you be able to compensate these hardworking troopers better, but also attract more troopers to the Highway Patrol to fill those gaps in coverage?
That is our hope, yes, that we'll be able to recruit more people, of course, and be able to retain these same people to stay working for us so that we can provide better coverage and better service to the public. And I believe that this compensation adjustment that the governor had placed in his budget proposal request and that the public supported us on, hopefully this will go a long ways towards helping that.
The website that you put together advocating for this had so many different stories from troopers who talked about why they were staying with the Highway Patrol or why they were leaving, these decisions that they had to make for their lives and their families, sometimes regarding pay, sometimes regarding the type of work that they were hoping to do, their passion for the job. You've also mentioned the support that you got from the community. Can you tell me a bit about what was the community response to that website, to those stories, to the advocacy to compensate troopers?
Well, the response from the community was overwhelming. We got great response from the community. They supported us in a great way. And myself and the Wyoming Highway Patrol Association would like to thank all the citizens of Wyoming, as well as those beyond Wyoming, that supported us and placed posts on our Facebook. Many of them called or emailed their legislators supporting us. And I believe that's what did this, was the public making their thoughts known on this and supporting us is what got this through. And we greatly appreciate that and realize that we have to earn the trust of the public, and we want to continue earning their trust and their respect. That's not something we take lightly. Many people read the posts that we had put up on our site from troopers and trooper spouses and members of the public stating why they were leaving, why they were staying, and just trying to put the stories out there to let them know that what we were facing.
With those stories, with that support that you received, I know we've also talked about how this is not a one bill fix all type issue, that pay is going to continue to be a problem for state employees as we move forward because the economy changes, inflation, the market is always moving. So I'm curious, in your mind, what are the next steps for legislators to ensure that we continue to support troopers or continue to address these issues as they arise?
Well, what we would like to do is continue to work with the legislators and put something in place to where this doesn't happen again, to where state employees get so far behind, where our troopers are so far behind, they have to start making that decision again. Do they stay or do they go work for another agency? Because once they get these compensation adjustments, there's nothing in place to keep up with inflation, the cost of living, and other places that pay more. There's no step increases or anything. So we need to come up with something to try and keep up with that, whether that's a step increase or some other manner of being able to do that. I'm not sure yet. We're trying to come up with some ideas and then hopefully work with some legislatures to put that in place.
I know for now the Wyoming Highway Patrol Matters stories have been taken down primarily because legislature has been supportive and approved these raises, so you don't want to confuse the public and have them sending emails on a bill that's already been considered and passed through. Curious, is there a point in the future where you feel it would be relevant to put those stories back out there? Or do you feel like the work is done?
Well, I don't feel like our work is done by any means. And perhaps some of these stories may have to continue. But for now, the legislature has approved the budget that the governor proposed. And so we wanted to take that down so that legislatures didn't continue getting these emails and everything asking them to support the budget. Like I said, we would like to work with the legislatures to put something in place to where this doesn't happen again and where we get so far in the hole it takes so much to dig us out. We'd also use this site for supporting the public. If there is a certain bill that comes up that we support before the legislature, to try and make traveling through Wyoming safer, to support the public on that. We have already determined we'd use that as well.
Is there anything else that you'd want the public to know about their troopers and what they can do either to support troopers or the service that they receive from troopers?
First off, we just want to thank the public for the support we have received. We've always enjoyed good relations with the public, and we want to continue that. But these troopers, they're your neighbors. They're people that are football coaches, soccer coaches. They do a lot of public service out there, just working with certain groups to try and further their interest with the Special Olympics. Our association, we sponsor a lot of the Special Olympics and other causes throughout the state. We also help troopers that have been injured on the job and try to get them through some lean times. We just want to thank everybody and let them know that these troopers are members of Wyoming. They're glad to be in Wyoming. They love Wyoming. They love the people in Wyoming. And like I said, they're your neighbors and you see them every day.
Thank you for your time, Matt. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Now, here's Taylor Staples, our arts and entertainment reporter, here to give us a roundup of some of the upcoming events in the area this week.
This list doesn't include the ongoing exhibits happening in town. Today, March 6th, the Laramie County Sportsman Expo kicks off at the Event Center at Archer at 1 p.m. and will go until 6 p.m. The expo will also be tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's also a teen karaoke event today for 7th through 12th graders at 5 p.m. in the Cottonwood Room at the library. Then, True Troop has their weekend of shows for adults starting tonight at 6:30 p.m. at Double H Home Loans. The show will also be playing tomorrow at the same time and location. On Saturday, March 7th, from 7 to 9 a.m., there's a fruit and vegetable garden information chat at the Cheyenne Botanic Gardens. Also, Saturday is the kickoff for the Delta Kappa Gamma annual used book sale from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The book sale will also be on Sunday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and all of next weekend at the Frontier Mall at the former Joann Fabrics. Then there's a members-only yoga session at the Cheyenne Children's Museum from 8 to 9 a.m., the Winter Farmers Market from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Cheyenne Depot, a Luck of the Irish craft fair from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the East Lincoln Way Event Hall, a members-only High Plains Arboretum plant sale at the Cheyenne Botanic Gardens from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., and a seed library event regarding low-maintenance gardening from 2 to 4 p.m. in the Cottonwood Room. This Saturday is also when this month's Family Day at the museum takes place. This will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and will revolve around animal and human anatomy. Saturday is also the kickoff of the Western Spirit Art Sale at the Cheyenne Frontier Days Old West Museum, which includes a day of seminar sessions and a workshop, all happening from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. There are also 3 shows Saturday, including the All City Children's Chorus Jubilee Concert at 4 p.m. at the LCSD1 Admin Building, a Cheyenne Youth Symphony Concert at 7 p.m. at LCCC's Surbrook Prentice Auditorium, and Bingo Loco at the Lincoln at 7 p.m. On Monday, March 9th, there's a Cheyenne Women's Connection meeting from 6 to 8 p.m. called Timely Tall Truths at the Red Lion Inn. The meeting will also be tomorrow from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. On Tuesday, March 10th, there's a Cheyenne Genealogical and Historical Society meeting from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Sunflower Room at the library. On Wednesday, March 11th, there are library to business drop-in sessions from 9 to 11 a.m. on the library's 3rd floor, an AARP Cheyenne Community Group meeting from 12:30 to 2 p.m. at the Laramie County Senior Center, a Library for All event for adults and older teens with disabilities from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. in the library's Cottonwood Room, and finally a Stitch Fix knitting session in the Sunflower Room from 5 to 7 p.m. Finally, on Thursday, March 12th, the Lincoln Way Event Hall has Thankful Thursdays starting at 4 p.m. This week, they're highlighting NCOA supporting Gold Star families. Thursday is also the reception for LCSD1's High School Art Show at LCCC's Esther and John Clay Fine Art Gallery from 6 to 7:30 p.m. There's also a session of the Wyoming State Museum Archive Speaker Series from 7 to 8 p.m. regarding branding irons and cattle, as well as a Cheyenne Ski Club meeting at 6:30 p.m. at Uncle Charlie's Bar and Grill. For the full list of events, go to wyomingnews.com/calendar.
In the headlines this week, members of the Cheyenne City Council are set to reconsider repealing the city's stormwater runoff management system user fee before it goes into effect. The proposal to repeal the controversial fees was supported in a 2-1 vote Tuesday by the Council's Finance Committee and heads to the full Council for consideration next Monday. And after extensive debate, the Wyoming House of Representatives voted Tuesday to approve a bill creating a statewide literacy program. The bill, Senate File 59, titled K-12 Language and Literacy Program, creates a comprehensive system for evidence-based language and literacy instruction, assessment, and intervention for K-12 kids statewide. And House Bill 10, which would have effectively removed books containing content that met the bill's definition of sexually explicit material from sections of libraries intended for children under the age of 18, failed in the Senate Tuesday evening, as it was not considered before the Committee of the Whole deadline. It failed again Wednesday following a proposal to break from rules and reconsider the controversial bill. Thank you again for tuning in to Wyoming Watch. Tune in next week for more local news.